You've been taught to push. Push through the pain. Push harder when it hurts. Push even when the door clearly says pull. But what if? Life isn't meant to be forced. What if every time you try to control what's not yours, you lose a little more of yourself? Because here's what no one says out loud. The harder you try to fix life, the more broken you feel inside. You plan, you strive, you chase, not joy, but control. You tell yourself, if I just try harder, if I just fix this, if I just hold on a little longer, maybe then it'll work. But what if that's the problem? What if holding on is what's holding you back? Ever wondered why you feel more exhausted the more disciplined you become? Why rest feels illegal? Why letting go feels like failure? You're not alone. You're not weak. You're just tired of swimming against a current you were never meant to fight. So stay with me, because this isn't a video about trying harder. It's a guide to finally stop, to let go, to float, to find peace, not at the finish line, but right where you are. And in the next few minutes, you'll learn 7 Stoic truths that set you free, not by pushing, but by finally allowing. Let's be clear, this isn't a video about giving up. It's about giving yourself permission to stop forcing what was never yours. Because somewhere along the way, you started believing that struggle meant strength, that control meant clarity, that if you just pushed hard enough, life would finally make sense. But here's the Stoic truth. Peace isn't something you fight for. It's something you find when you stop fighting. You don't have to force love. You don't have to force growth. You don't have to force a future that doesn't fit. You just have to pay attention to what's trying to flow and what's been blocked by your resistance. That's what this video is about. Not 7 things to do, but in 7 truths to remember. When life feels heavy, uncertain, or out of your control, each one is a soft reminder that you don't need to push your way into peace. You just need to pause long enough to feel the wisdom you already carry. And if you stay till the end, I'll share the one Stoic sentence that helped me release a version of myself I was never meant to keep chasing. It might just help you do the same. This is Jordan, 30, ambitious, sharp, always has a plan, always 2 steps ahead. From the outside, put together, driven, doing well. But inside, he's tired. And he doesn't know why. Every part of his life feels like it's being held together by force. His job, his relationships, his goals. Like he's pushing puzzle pieces that don't quite fit, just to prove he's figured it out. One night he tries to open a door, pushes hard. Nothing. He tries again, harder, still stuck. Frustrated, he steps back and realizes it's a pull door. He was using all his strength in the wrong direction. That moment, that's when it hit him. Maybe life isn't stuck. Maybe I've just been pushing where I'm meant to let go. That thought unraveled something. He started questioning the goals he thought were his, the people he tried to keep, the image he tried to maintain, and slowly, he stopped forcing clarity and started inviting stillness. He didn't quit everything. He didn't reinvent himself. He just softened. He slowed down. He got honest. And in that space, he found peace. Not because he won, but because he finally stopped fighting what was never his. Just like Jordan, you might not need a breakthrough. You might just need to stop pushing and listen to the flow you've been resisting all along. Shift number 1. Stop forcing alignment. Let it not fit. Some things aren't working. And deep down, you know it. That job, that friendship, that version of success you've been dragging around like a dead weight. But still, you hold on, you tweak, you justify. You tell yourself, maybe if I just try a little harder, it'll finally click. But it doesn't, and it won't, because what you're calling loyalty might just be fear of letting go. Here's the truth. Not everything is supposed to fit your life. Some things were only meant to teach you. then leave. But when you keep forcing alignment, you end up molding yourself to match things that were never meant to stay. That's not growth, that's self-abandonment in disguise. The Stoics taught it clearly. Just keep in mind, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Epictetus. And nothing is less in your control than trying to force something to align, when your soul already knows it doesn't. So here's the shift. Let it not fit. Stop twisting, stop fixing. Stop explaining why you're staying in rooms that your peace keeps trying to leave. Try this. Think of one area of your life that always feels heavy. Then ask yourself, am I forcing this because it's right, or because I'm scared of starting over? If it's the second, give yourself permission to loosen your grip. You don't have to burn it down. But you do have to stop pretending it's working, because alignment doesn't shout, it whispers, and when you finally stop forcing, you'll hear something you haven't in a long time. Relief. Not because you gave up, but because you remembered. What's forced is never free, and what's free doesn't need forcing. Shift number 2, silence is strategy. Not everything needs a response, but we forget that. You hear something false about you. You feel misunderstood. You sense tension in the room, and your first instinct, fix it. Clarify, jump in and explain, but every time you do that, you leak energy. Because here's what no one tells you. Constant reaction is a form of self-abandonment. You leave your center to control someone else's perception. You trade your peace for the illusion of being understood. The Stoics warned us, if you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished? Marcus Aurelius. Silence isn't giving up. It's choosing to stay rooted. It's honoring your presence more than your pride. You don't need to respond to every jab. You don't need to explain every choice. You don't need to match every ounce of chaos with an equal reply. You can pause, you can hold the line, you can let the noise pass, like a storm that never touches your core. Here's your shift. Choose stillness, not to hide, but to protect what matters. Next time you feel the pull to set the record straight, ask yourself, is this conversation watering me or draining me? If it's the second, let silence speak, because silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your clarity than about winning a moment. Try this. Take 24 hours before responding to anything that triggers you. Not to be passive, but to be powerful. In that space, you'll notice something. Most things that demand a reaction don't deserve one, because peace isn't just found in what you say. It's found in what you're willing to leave unsaid. Not every voice deserves a reply. Sometimes the most stoic move is stillness. Shift 3. Letting go is a strength. Letting go sounds simple, but when it's real, it hurts. Because we don't just hold on to people, we hold on to versions of ourselves, to old dreams, to unfinished conversations, to stories where we were finally chosen, but never were. And so we carry it all, the almosts. The maybe one days, the things we wanted so badly we convinced ourselves they were meant for us. But here's the truth. Just because something meant a lot doesn't mean it was meant to last. And holding on, that doesn't make you strong. It makes you stuck. You become anchored to what was, so much so that you miss what is. The Stoics didn't fear loss, they embraced it. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Letting go isn't giving up. It's growing up. It's trusting that what's gone doesn't hold the power to define what's coming next. So here's your shift. Instead of gripping tighter, ask yourself, what is this attachment costing me? Time, energy, self-respect? Then take a breath and loosen your grip. Not all at once, just enough to feel space return, just enough to remember. You are not what you lost, you are what you choose to carry forward. Try this, write down what you're still holding on to. Then write this beneath it. I release what no longer serves my peace. Read it, breathe into it, then live it. Because strength isn't measured by how long you can hold on. It's measured by how bravely you can let go, when holding on is no longer kind. Shift. 4. You don't control the weather some days. Nothing makes sense. You do your best, you plan, you show up with your heart open, and still, things fall apart, people flake, results disappoint. The world throws you curveballs you never saw coming. And the hardest part, you blame yourself. If I were better. If I had prepared more. If I just tried harder. But here's the Stoic truth. You don't control the weather. You only control how you sail. Life is full of things you'll never command. Other people's choices, timing, delays, discomfort, unexpected storms. And when you fight what you can't control, you lose twice. Once in the event itself, and again in your resistance to it. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus. This isn't about passivity. It's about wisdom, about knowing the difference between what needs your effort and what just needs your acceptance. Here's your shift. The next time something outside your control rattles you, pause and ask yourself, is this my storm or just my sky? If it's your storm, adjust. If it's just the sky, breathe. You can't stop the clouds, but you don't have to drown in them. Try this. Create 2 columns. On one side, what I can't control. On the other, what I can. Then, focus like a warrior on column 2. That's where your peace lives, because mastery isn't about dominating life. It's about dancing with it. And the Stoic way is to stay steady in the chaos, to move with the wind, to face the storm and whisper, I may not control this, but I still control me. Shift number 5, embrace stillness over struggle. You were raised to believe that doing nothing is dangerous, that's slowing down, falling behind, that if you rest, the world will pass you by. So you push, you chase, you fill every blank space in your day with noise, effort, and motion. But here's what you start to notice. The harder you run, the less you feel. The more you strive, the less you heal, because not all effort is progress. Some of it is just panic in disguise, and sometimes stillness isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Marcus Aurelius. That strength, it doesn't come from struggle, it comes from presence. Stillness isn't inactivity, it's intention. It's choosing to stand still in a world that keeps screaming, move. It's listening to what your body's been trying to tell you through the tension in your jaw, the weight in your chest, the fatigue that no caffeine can fix. Here's your shift. Not every quiet moment is wasted. Some are saving you. Try this. Schedule 10 minutes today to do nothing. No music, no phone, just you and your breath. You'll be tempted to quit. You'll feel the pull to check something. But stay, because what you're practicing isn't laziness, it's reclamation. You're taking back your nervous system, your clarity, your rhythm, because if you never slow down, you'll never realize what was chasing you. And sometimes, the thing you were running from was yourself. So sit still, not as an escape, but as a return, because peace won't arrive when you finish everything. Peace arrives when you stop running. Shift number 6, accept the scene, not the script. You had a plan, a picture in your mind of how life was supposed to unfold, where you'd be by now, who'd still be beside you, what would have worked, if everything had gone right. But here's the reality. Life didn't follow your script. It followed its own rhythm. And that hurts, because you didn't just lose a plan. You lost the identity tied to that plan, the future self you were, counting on, the version of life that felt safer, because it was imagined. But the Stoics never promised us the future. They pointed us to the present. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. Epictetus. This isn't resignation, it's liberation. It's saying, this moment isn't the one I wrote, but it's the one I've been given, and I'll meet it with full presence. Because peace doesn't live in your projections, it lives in your participation. Here's your shift. You don't have to love every scene, but you do have to accept that this is the one you're in. Try this. Take one part of your life that isn't going how you planned. Now ask, what if this isn't a detour? What if it's just the path I didn't expect, but still need to walk? Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means choosing to show up, even when the story changes mid-chapter. Because when you stop clinging to the old script, you start living in the real story, the one unfolding right now, scene by scene, truth by truth, breath by breath. Let go of the life you planned. Make room for the one that's actually happening. Shift number 7. Peace begins when you stop performing. You don't even notice it anymore. The constant performing, the invisible stage you live on, smiling, responding, adjusting, trying to be enough for a world that keeps raising the bar. You play the role, the achiever, the peacemaker, the one who's fine. But behind the performance, you're exhausted, not from life, from the act, from measuring your worth by how useful you are, from wondering if you're too much or not enough, from holding in what's real, just to keep things smooth. But here's the radical Stoic truth. You don't owe anyone a polished version of yourself. You only owe yourself the truth. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. Marcus Aurelius. The judgment. That says, you have to be on all the time. You can't be messy. You can't be real. But peace doesn't come when the world approves of your mask. It comes when you take it off. Here's your shift. Let yourself be seen, not as a performance, but as a presence. Try this. The next time someone asks, "How are you?" Pause and answer honestly. Even if it's just tired, but still here. No drama, no pretending, just truth. Because when you stop performing, you start connecting, not through perfection, but through presence. That's where peace begins. Not when you've fixed everything, but when you've stopped hiding from yourself. Stop proving, start being, peace follows. You don't need to force what's already yours. You were never meant to force your way through life. You were meant to listen, to align, to release. Because peace doesn't arrive when you conquer everything. It arrives when you stop fighting what was never yours to control. The Stoics never promised an easy life. They promised a clear one. And clarity means knowing what to hold, knowing what to let go, and knowing when stillness is the strongest choice you can make. So here's your final shift. Live without the script. Feel without apology. Let go with wisdom and let life meet you exactly where you are. Drop a comment. What are you ready to stop forcing? Starting today? Because the moment you stop performing is the moment you start returning to the you that was never lost, only buried. Thank you for being here, not just listening, but remembering. Thanks for growing gentler. stronger, and a little more stoic today.